from the loft of the Caskey Lodge in Kalkaska, Michigan, it's the Rollsreece podcast. And here he is, Rollsreece! Hey, everybody. This is the Rollsreece podcast. I am Rollsreece, and thanks for tuning in again for another exciting edition. We are back here at the Caskey Lodge. We're up here in the loft, you know. We're doing our thing up over here. We got the cooler. And this isn't really a redemption episode because a couple episodes back, I had Jill and Aaron Grenchik on, and there was some audio problems, there was some static, and I said, yes, I'm going to get you back on here, and we can just kind of do a redo. That's why I called it the Lost episode. But today we're doing something different. We've got one half of the Jill and Aaron duo here. We've got Aaron here, and this is a podcast of its own. It's not all about the mushroom hunting. I mean, there's a lot going on with everyone, all individuals, and you might want to hold that a little steady there. We're getting a little kind of like a bouncing sound, but I got Aaron Grenchik here. Sorry to be rude, but we got my good friend Aaron Grenchik. Thanks for coming down to the Caskey Lodge and hanging with us, man. Appreciate it.
I think it was my fault last time. Probably I was doing the same thing with the microphone, so the static was probably on my shoulder.
No. I mean, no, that was that's never even happened again. I don't even know I'm not the technical wizard of this show. You know, Ricky's supposed to, and he's kind of got it going a little bit. It was mainly, my friend Darren, but man, I just don't know where this stuff comes from. But anyway, glad to have you here, man. I was telling people last week when we did the graduation special.
Ricky, come on.
Ricky, keep the drinks coming, Ricky, would you? Because we're trying to get settled in here. As you hear, actually, Aaron just set up a pretty cool mic stand. Anytime the mic moves a little bit, that's what you hear, that kind of wind blown noise. But he's got a pretty sweet mic stand going on. Was it like a milk crate or like some kind of plastic office crate? Oh. We do it high tech here at the Caskey Lodge. First piece of trash we can find, we make it into a mic stand. That's how we do it. But so anyway, at the graduation special, we were talking about getting the vaccine. I went out, I got the vaccine, got the first one, the Moderna one. But you yourself, you are fully vaccinated. I mean, you and Jill did that a while ago now, right?
Yes, it's been a couple months, and Jill and I. Hey, I just want to first start off by saying thank you again, Rollsreece, and thank you to the Caskey Lodge for hosting myself, and I really feel humbled, and I just first of all want to say that, get that off the show.
I appreciate you saying that. It is my home. They've actually, they let me put a new coat of paint in the janitor's closet, so it's smelling a little better now. I use Kills.
I am stoked. This has been amazing weather. To jump right back into the vaccination thing, it's like it's a form of culture shock, I guess, because I'm still feeling almost like odd going out in public and in the stores where it's been such a unique experience having to cover up. I almost, there's portions of it I appreciated, but thank God we're seeing a little bit of clarity and coming back, and I think everyone has a new appreciation and a new understanding of even just some of our general freedoms. I mean,
the day-to-day stuff. The weird thing of not seeing like the part of a person's face for that long a time, and I don't know. I wonder if we're like a society now of eye readers. We're really good at they're definitely smiling. You know what I mean? Not wincing in pain or whatever.
Yeah, onto something there. I think absolutely.
I mean, I was exaggerating my eyebrows a lot. I felt
some
like
people have like that eternally excited look in their eyes, where they just full of anticipation. Maybe some people are opening their eyes a little too much, where you're just wondering what are they not asking me? And then of course there's the resting angry eyes. We know them. Are they smiling? I kind of look like they were upset with me. I'm not sure.
My favorite are the "what are you doing?" Just with the head shake. The full.
Yes, and
I got that a lot.
I was working the other night, and I felt like the manager on duty just kept on kind of giving me the eyes, and
Side-eyeing? What?
I was like, why does he keep on looking at me? And it was from multiple angles, like for like a half hour. I kept on like looking over off the ladder and seeing as I was painting. I'm like, what the hell, And then
So a confrontation was imminent at that point.
so it got to the point where I was able to give him a full on like, disgusted, like why are you looking at me? So without saying anything, look, and you couldn't do that with a mask on. And then you know what? To wrap up the scenario and my concern of being observed so much, I guess it's just the case when you're doing something in public.
Yeah.
You have to accept that. The guy gave me a free dinner that night because it was something that was having to be expired anyway.
Oh, very
So
cool. So you kind of misread the whole thing.
I must have misread him. He's a nice guy. And in the end of the story, it was like, well, you can judge a book by its cover. Sometimes you can like judge no one anytime, and that's kind of like something I think we all deal with.
Yeah, I just assume I'm doing the wrong thing at all times, and people are always pissed. I just start there.
Right, we're always trying to read each other.
Surprised,
Yeah, I guess the thing is being cordial to each other, and it's like sometimes it's so hard to find someone who's being civil, like you've mentioned before with the drive-throughs and people just acknowledging each other. That's something I really I try to like. I think we should all like not let anyone else really bother. More a sense of compassion where it's like, when children act out, they need attention for some reason. When adults are acting out or upset, maybe they just had like the worst time of their life and you don't know it.
I don't know. Like a lot of people are kind of like I don't know what people are thinking in general, but it almost seems like we have these customs of just when you greet another person, you know what I mean, of any level, even if you make eye contact with them on the street. Now they gotta say hello to everyone and walking on the street, but a hello in the drive-through window, a hello to a waiter or waitress, they don't, like the commercial, whatever, they don't need to know your name, all that stuff, but hey, how you doing today?
As a father of 6 and a proud grandfather, it's a concern because it's almost a lost art to be proper in public.
Yeah.
Whether you're here, there, or anywhere.
It's just what it does is it says, hey, just another person like you, good to see you.
Yeah, not forcing you to jump
just hey,
hoop,
how you doing?
Not forcing you to jump any rope. Just like, just let me know that you're at least okay and that we love each other.
It's like just a societal check-in. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm just checking in. You all right? Yep. Good? How you doing? Good? Yep. I remember had some friends from Switzerland come, 10 years ago, a while ago, but I taught them the hey, how you doing? They were greeting everyone properly and everything. I was like, now if you really want to do it right, you say, hey, how you doing?
And the hey, how you doing, like, let's say realistically, has occurred online. Like, and it's like you, our generation, people of whether, 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, 50s.
Yeah.
Getting back, I'm not sure who's listening, but regardless, we didn't have that online social interaction, and now it's global, so it's kind of nice where it kind of like takes off the mask or whatever, as let's speaking. But anyhow, people are people, and
I always thought it originated like like New York or something, or like the hey, how you doing, and it like migrated into the Midwest. And like like around here, there's a little bit. Some people have different accents. I don't even know what they like in the middle of the state. It sounds different than in the UP. There's an accent, and that's kind of more influenced by Canada. So it's like, hey, how you doing? It's like it's so weird.
I was just recently telling Jill, I used to go see my great grandparents in Alabama when I was like, from time I remember being born. It was the first time I flew on a plane and was with my grandfather going down there, and ended up staying for the summer a few times over. And,
Oh, nice. Summers in Alabama?
and so
That's a different accent.
exactly. And as a kid, you just absorb that. You know, you start talking like to people that are around you because there's, you know, you want to fit in. And
Yes.
and as a child, it comes easy. So I remember coming back to school, and there was only maybe 10 people in the grade at the school that I attended elementary years, and they're like, you know, you talking with an accent, and I probably was.
Did
but
they call you Yankee and all that?
Oh no, it was just kind of some fun to pick, you know, just a total like nice pick. But at the same time, it wasn't purposeful. I wasn't purposely like bringing an accent back. It was something that I had been talking like that with my relatives for whatever 2 or 3 months.
So it wasn't on purpose. It was more of an accent then.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we keep them rolling here at the Rollsreece podcast. Just blew your mind. I probably stole that from someone else.
Those are great
I
memories.
stole that from an old man.
Great
who
memories.
died like 100 years ago.
And I think we were talking about it because we were farming recently and doing a lot of farming. And this last week has just been amazing with the weather.
I saw some of those pictures. I guess we can get into this a little bit. You know, you and Jill do the foraging and stuff, but you also produce in a garden a variety of products. Let's talk a little bit about that. What do you got going? Because I saw the pictures; it looked amazing.
Hey, thanks for saying that,
Yeah.
Ray. You know, it's hard to word like what, not a one-man band, but we
No, absolutely not.
The team of Jill and Aaron, and
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. You and Jill.
Absolutely. So I've been farming for decades now, and as I mentioned, I have memories of snapping peas in Alabama. So anyhow, bring it up to date. We finally got a well on our 5 acres that we only farm about, say, an acre and a half,
Very nice.
2 acres
Big
of it.
time. That's
And
huge.
it's on the edge of Grand Traverse County towards Fife Lake. And this would be my 3rd year doing the agricultural hemp. So in addition to the agricultural hemp, we started a vegetable garden this year, and then we did like watermelons and pumpkins last year, and I took those seeds and we're doing them again.
So watch for you at the farmers market this late summer, fall, right? I mean, it's going to be happening, right?
Well, it's exponential. There, you know, the energy you put into those farmers markets, you can pull out. I was in a couple of the nurseries around the area recently, and I was looking at the cost of their trees, and I'm like, oh my Lord, I'm like, that's what we need to do. We'll just start like pulling some of those little saplings that I've been cutting out of the way and start selling trees. And then I'm like, you know, so it's just never ending. And so keeping it simple is really it's a legitimate term, where if you spread yourself too thin, but we're spreading ourselves too thin successfully these days in a manner.
I mean, are you going to need workers here, or what's going on?
You know, that would be it. But right now we're burning the wick at both ends, and we're doing our best to keep up with the farmers market, and we're doing our best to keep up with these classes that we're teaching and our online sales, in addition to the fact that I just did a final count and I'm getting better at labeling. Traverse City Hemp is the name of the farm.
Okay, Traverse City Hemp Farm. Okay.
And so I have a .com, but I'm really proud.
And you can just say that, you know, what right now if you want, whenever throughout the show, you know, you can keep reminding people. I don't mind you.
That's an
promoting
easy
your
one.
stuff.
And Jill helped me with like
Traverse City Hemp.
Yeah, .com, all the keywords and such. And so Traverse City Hemp is proud to say that we are one of 20 farms in the Midwest this year to participate in a Midwest research hemp program.
Oh, that's cool.
It's
So you're participating with the is it the government, or is it just scientists who are doing research? Or is it colleges?
A lot of the outlines come from the FDA. And then so each state has a different interpretation of it. With this program particularly, it's spearheaded from the University of Illinois.
Okay, cool.
So a gentleman by the name of Philip is spearheaded the chuck cultivation program. And basically what they did is they sent a handful of different genetics, or farms genetics, I should say, so seeds to each and every one of the participants. And from the beginning, we're taking notes and getting on another online scenario where we're able to, and forgive me, I'm going to have to think of the actual names.
That almost sounds like a
I'm
grant.
I'm horrible with the background paperwork, and I'm
Sure,
slow to get
yeah.
online and do the work.
I
I'm
completely
taking
understand.
notes, but anyhow, that being said, there is this awesome program that we're working through where we can get online and basically say, 1-star, 5-star, based on everything from the beginning to end. So TraverseCityHemp.com.
Nice.
We're stoked this year. Not only did we get a well, an agricultural well, so we finally got water, because the last couple of years we were hauling in water from a flatbed trailer with cubes.
I
and
remember that.
water.
Yes.
And then years previous, because I said something funny the other day. I'm like, well, I was hauling water from the last few years, and one of my
You were filling it too with like a garden hose style pump, right?
Well,
from the river or something like
yeah,
that?
at times from the river, and then my parents, God bless them, let me tap into their well.
But this is how many gallons of water is this?
But we're talking, the cubes are like around 300 gallons, and then
and you got a hose, so it took how long to fill them?
I was doing about 1,000 gallons per trip, and I was doing sometimes a couple trips a day. But back in the day, you're right, like 10, 15 years ago, I was going to the river specifically, and I wanted to make sure that I was far enough away from the golf courses that there was no contamination. You never want to be downstream from a cow farm.
Yeah, for sure.
Or certain orchards that get sprayed or whatever. But if you find a serene or natural river, that's a wonderful water source for any garden.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's
so
the real
anyhow,
deal.
Yeah, so I was doing some crazy, stupid, backbreaking, ridiculous, time-consuming stuff when it came to watering my garden the last few years. This year we're celebrating with a fence, because last year by now the deer came in and ate all my beans. They wrecked my tomato plants. They took out all of my vegetables.
You had one bad year though.
They chewed on the watermelon, but pretty much left those alone for the most part. But anyhow, well, it wasn't even a bad year. It was almost good, because it was a deterrent from the majority of the hemp. They would just kind of chew on. They never really bothered it too much.
They're after the real vegetables, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we should make this clear. This is hemp we're talking about. This isn't, the medical marijuana industry. I mean, it's CBD oil is really the goal, or that's the focus of the hemp farm.
There was 2 different agricultural farm bills that came through. One of them was in 2014 that allowed it for educational purposes, and then in 2018 it was passed agricultural farm bill through the U.S. government to decriminalize and get agricultural hemp as long as it met the certain standards of below 0.3% delta 8 or delta 9.
Right, it's like barely
THC.
That's nothing.
Correct. So very minimal, and so all of our stuff has been state tested for the last 3 years. We've passed those tests. In addition to that, I also, in order for some of this packaging and processing, because I have a grow as well as a processing and handling license, which enables me to go ahead and do the whole gamut.
And as much as you hate paperwork, you are doing it right.
And so it's a real blessing, but I have gotten third-party tested with all the different products, and so it's really given me at least the knowledge that I'm doing everything to meet all the requirements. So it's going to be a learning process and a paradigm for all of us in terms of the fact that we're so used to this being illegal. When I'm saying this, I mean cannabis.
Right,
The cannabis plant, because it's a beautiful plant. It looks exactly like medical marijuana, almost verbatim.
Yes.
To be honest with you, smells like it, looks like it. But when you get it tested in the lab, there's no.
It's a genetically different.
There's no psychoactive ingredients. So people are like, well, what is it? What? And so I'm like, well, all these CBDs, and there's so much to learn when it comes to that whole field. But I won't really get into further depth.
No, and we can loop right back to it's hemp, but now you got to get the fence up. So you got the fence up now. So that's great. I mean, now you're not going to have the problems.
We have the fence. I even bought a gate, 16-foot gate. And
you got the fence. You got the water pump now. This is all stuff you didn't have like a year ago, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you've done all this.
I didn't even 2 months ago. And then this is the second year that I had one of my good friends, Jason. He came and tilled the place as well as did some forestry work as well.
Nice.
He helped me through last year's on a number of different projects. Anyway, he did this raised bed till frame for his tractor.
Yeah.
Where he went into the shop and welded up the scenario where I have raised beds. They're about 1.5 to 2 foot high, by, I want to say it's like 2 feet wide or whatever.
Yeah,
the case
sure.
is. So anyway, he's tilled it up the last couple of years. I got some beautiful raised beds, and we did it horizontally to the slope of the hill. So what we're trying to do is kind of a watering system where I can go ahead and open the gates, in addition to the fact that I'm just kind
Letting
of
gravity work for you.
getting it all orchestrated. It's been a real blessing with the garden, and I would encourage anyone, if they have any type of space, even if it's just like your windowsill space, get some indoor herbs going, whether it's your thyme, your basil, your oregano, anything that you're eventually going to be paying for down the way. Especially if you start it with seed, it's such an economical and such a smart thing to do when it comes to creating your own food sources.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and not only that, like you talk about kind of doing things yourself, because you are also a contractor, a construction contractor, and these material prices are going up. Things are just going up, up, up. You know what I mean? Has that been affecting that side of your business, the construction side, or?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a real hot button issue topic, and
For everyone,
it's completely legitimate. For example, right now there's cabinets that I'm waiting on, and thankfully it wasn't a rush scenario because I was able to go ahead and work with the client, and they understand that there's some
Things are changing by the day.
There's some extreme variables that it's just are out of my control, and so you can only do so much. But it is unfortunate the cost of material has gone up so much because it's directly affecting either the homeowner or the worker, or in commercial scenarios it's affecting the company,
Yeah.
or it's affecting the contractor, one of the two.
Well, you can't just give these materials away. I mean, if you're a contractor, you got to say, hey, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to pay for this. I'm happy to do the work, but this is what it costs now. I know I gave an original bid a month ago, even, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But now it's doubled. It's hard to explain to people that. I don't think the average person understands that. I don't know. Maybe
well,
they do.
the cost of inflation that affects all of us across the board, and it's not just it begins with like maybe one thing as simple as our material. And then the delays, and then the cost of all those other things that encounter. But in the back of I always wonder, I'm like, how are these people doing it?
Right.
Or
right.
how in debt are these people?
They are
getting?
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, like you never know the scenario, but like they're making it so that if you know anybody that has a mill. Geez, oh Pete's.
Yeah, get that lumber, milled.
Yeah, find an engineer and stamp that stuff, and save yourself a few $1,000s.
Totally. I mean, I hope there is some kind of balance out here eventually. I mean, I know everything is because of COVID. It's weird that ripple effect goes out that far. You know what I mean? Because when the pandemic began, the prices weren't bad. It was kind of once we started getting out of it that they started climbing.
Well, us, the United States of America, all the other countries in the world, people in general, there's this trend in the history of America, particularly, to put all of our trust into this body of Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam's going to take care of us. And the reality is that's not a very sustainable platform to work on, because it falls at certain points where you have such concentration and populace of people in the cities. You have all these variable costs and effect where people are basically just working to be able to work more. And so there's a lot of unfortunate basis to what we're doing currently, and so there is a trend. There has been a trend for a while now, and for a long time in certain areas, to go ahead and be self-sufficient. Start to know where your food is coming from. Know who's making your clothes. Follow the paper trail. I can give certain examples where it's funny because in some of these marketing ad campaigns on TV we see, they're like, it's all America, and then they're like, oh, except for the fact that we source our cotton in Giza.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it is a global market, that's for sure. And like I say, I guess that was just a weird delayed ripple of the pandemic or whatever. But I mean, luckily that's, you got the farm market, you got, the farm going on, and so that you've diversified, which is really great. And then Jill is doing her thing. She's the stuff I've seen, blending spices, doing stuff with the mushrooms, doing the catering thing. I mean, you guys are about as diversified as you can be. You've got like 6 jobs. I don't even know what's going on over there.
Well, and hats off, and huge props to my wife Jill.
Nothing but respect for both of you. Yeah.
Just last night, I witnessed as we were watering the garden, the acre and a half or what have you. She literally is on her hands and knees weeding and planting some more vegetables for the season, and taking few breaks, working, like going 100-yard stretches, crawling, weeding the aisle.
And that's what you got to do.
And then going back and then doing the same thing in the next aisle. And on top of that, I don't know if it was like some type of group in town that, anyhow, a nonprofit group that she catered this weekend to like 50 or 60 sandwiches and a full lunch. I want to say 3-part. Anyhow,
she does a great job with that.
Whole kit and caboodle. And on top of that, she serves a couple other couples within the area where she does meals once or twice a week for these individuals. So she catered a couple people this weekend. She worked hard in the garden. We did the farmer's market on Saturday. Neither one of us got much sleep the night before.
Yeah.
She is definitely, my girl.
You guys are a great team. And I encourage people to go down to the farmer's market on Saturdays. It's from 6 to noon. On Saturdays. I mean, everyone down there is doing a great job. All the farmers and the people bringing the product in. But you got to stop down and see Jill and Aaron and Jill. They're down there. I mean, they will engage with you. They're happy to talk to you about whatever, is happening with their product or just in life in general, I think. I mean, I actually hung out down there, and I was just shocked at how many people you've gotten to know. And I mean, it's like, your fans in the community. I mean, the people who are your people, I mean, they're coming back time after time.
It's the most social interaction I've had almost ever.
Yeah, totally.
Between that and doing the classes in this last few years, it's really Jill and I both have really learned to appreciate, and we really love those hours that fly by.
Yeah.
So, we set up at 6:30, we end up leaving around 12:30, and the entire time we're interacting with people, and we meet people from all around the world right in Traverse City at the Sarah Harded Farm Market. They also do it Wednesdays, but I'm not sure about the Wednesdays.
I mean, that's
time.
Still pretty extreme. So you got your morning crowd, I'm sure. You probably got your towards 10 to noon.
we could fill the whole hour up right now with farm market stories. And it's amazing. For example, just last week, so not this past Saturday, but last week, one of my childhood friends that I grew up with, Garrett, came up and hung out with us for like an hour and a half, and he's also a forager.
Oh, nice.
And before you know it, he was basically like selling mushrooms as Jill and I were talking to some other people or whatever, and it was just such a neat interaction because I got a chance to introduce him with like 3 or 4 other foragers and people in the area right on the spot.
And where's he out of?
He currently lives in Kalamazoo. And,
okay.
And big shout out to Garrett if he gets a chance. He's super active in his community, and he does a lot of forward.
Does he have a last name? I mean,
Garrett Blahunka and I grew up together. And
Blahunka.
Yeah. So our moms were like best friends from high school. So from the get go, always, we weren't even picking on. We were just hanging out, basically allowed to run around.
Oh yeah, you're running wild out there.
We were running wild.
I mean, that's the thing. Kids now, I know we're gonna go off subject, but kids nowadays, I always like going to this old man routine because now I'm really soaking it up. But these kids nowadays, they're watched a lot more and protected than we ever were. I know that. I mean,
I was talking about Mike's skate shop in one of the last episode that Jill and I were in.
Yeah.
And literally not even a block and a half away is where his mom lived at a certain point, and so that whole neighborhood was really home for a while. It's funny,
Yeah.
even though I only lived in Indiana for the first 4 years, I was there every summer thereafter, so I got a lot of good memories. And
Oh yeah, for sure.
bring it current day, Garrett and I were in the woods hunting some oyster mushrooms, and we got a chance to hang out. And I really don't usually get those opportunities because typically I'm by myself in the woods, which is
Yeah, you're in the zone. I've been out there with you.
That's true. Yeah.
I look over, you're gone, and I just go, well, I know my way back to the car,
And I apologize. I don't ever
No,
mean-
when I'm out there, I knew you're at work. I'm trying to help. I'm horrible at it. I don't know what goes on, but you're good at it, and you're
Well,
getting the job done.
Hey, thanks, Rolls. We enjoy it so much, and Jill and I talk about it frequently because we do get so many requests where they're like, if you guys ever have a chance, we'd love to go out foraging with you. And Jill and I honestly would love to have the opportunity and time to do that.
You could do like group forage stuff.
Well, and there comes a lot of challenges there.
Okay.
And because of the area location,
And we're back. Hey, everybody. We just had another glitch out there. The glitch is part of the show. The glitch is brought to you today by Bud Light Orange. That's right. This glitch is for you, Bud Light Orange. And I'm enjoying one. You want to give a shout out to whatever you're drinking over there?
Shout out to the glitch.
This glitch brought to you by what do you got? Shorts.
This is a Shorts brew, and
So the show shorted out.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Grand Traverse Brewing and any of the people that were associated with Grand Traverse Brewing back in the day, because that covers the gamut in terms of like my homies.
And the unfortunate thing is that during that glitch, you told that harrowing tale of finding that guy and saving his life. I mean, it was just amazing. But we don't have time to redo it now. We'll just move on.
That was rough.
That was a great story, though.
Yeah, we kind of segued into that, but before that, I was talking about the challenges of taking like groups or even like small groups out.
Yeah.
And like I said, I wish we had the time to do that type of thing, but the complications that quickly arise is, well, first of all, permission, and second of all, are you going to find any mushrooms that
Right.
people are looking for? Is
It's
it the
real
right?
hit and
Is
miss.
it the right time of season? And then the areas that you do have permission to go to, typically those are the overpopulated areas anyhow, which it's wonderful to get out in the woods with people, but when Jill and I get into the woods, as goofy as it is, and it's kind of a hard thing to comprehend, it's like the best office space we could ever have.
Well, here's how I would look at it, and here's how you got to, when you're marketing it, you got to do this. If there are people out there willing to sign up for Bigfoot tours and alien sightings, which, hey, I have no problem with any of that. It's intriguing, but you are definitely not guaranteed to see Bigfoot or an alien. At least with you guys, there's a chance you will find a mushroom and actually have a mushroom in your hand. So that would be the difference there,
That's
I think.
true. Last night,
It's all
Jill
what people will pay for.
introduced me to some garden weed just last night, and she like told me the name 3 times, and I still can't remember it. But it tasted like lemon, like right off the bat. It was really citrusy.
Yeah.
I'd never had it before. I was like, wow, where did you learn that one? It was amazing, and it was right in the middle of the garden. Anyway,
No way.
getting past GreatLakesTreats.com is the name of the tent. You can find us at the farmers market. And getting past
GreatLakesTreats.com, the tent.
Yeah,
Now, what color is the tent?
it's red, and so we're on the.
So look for the red tent with the.
Yeah, it would be the far northwest corner of the market. But
Okay.
If you walk around, you should see all the stands. There's a few people. Some of them have cultivated mushrooms. In fact, one of our neighbors, they have a nice variety throughout the years. And so if we don't have it, typically they do. Regardless, every single one of the vendors down there in Traverse City, it's worth seeing. We really encourage anyone to take the time. You do have to wake up early in order to have the fresh options when it
Right.
comes to Wild Forage Fair. But regardless, we'd love to see anyone down there at any point in time, and we really just enjoy it. It's a nice community, to say the very least. It's a wonderful community, and so shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. The Traverse City Farm Market community. Like I say, I visited there, because before I have my guests on the podcast, I like to get out there and experience what they're doing. No, we're good friends. I just go and hang out with them every now and
Let's
then.
take this conversation elsewhere, man.
Hey, you know what? What we could talk about is that you do all this stuff for money, but there's a lot you do not for money, and it still is a lot of work. You have been probably like what, a semi-professional skateboarder, a musician. I was talking to Seamus, our good friend Seamus O'Donnell, a couple weeks ago. It was great talking to him. Thank you for being on the show, Seamus. We're going to do it again. As a matter of fact, we got to do a kind of a panel thing with some people from the old music days. But I remember you and Jeremy and Seamus would be in the Fattel's basement, and I was coming down there, a wide-eyed 14-year-old kid. Wow, actual instruments, people playing, and then you guys would say, hey, you can jam too. It was, you weren't excluding anyone. So I'd like to thank you for that. But I like I said, I met you when I was 14, so you must have been 18. I think you're a little bit older. I mean, we are just a wide range of ages in our friends. But were you playing music? When did you start? When did you get into that?
My grandparents got me a acoustic guitar. I want to say it was I think it was my birthday.
Yeah.
Must have been like my maybe 11th or 12th birthday.
Wow, that early. Wow.
And I think my admiration for them made it, and plus any kid wants to learn the guitar.
Absolutely. You want to be in a band.
Now if it's not a classical guitar and it's a true acoustic instrument, there's some challenges there. So I did my best to learn the guitar, and I adored that acoustic. Anyhow,
but then things change.
You spurred a bunch of different thoughts when it comes to music, because there's so much to talk about.
Oh yeah, we're gonna skip through, because Shamey and I call him Shamey. His nickname. Seamus is his name. Every now and then the nickname slips out. Seamus. Yeah.
Or however you spelled it.
That's his spelling. He's off the radar, folks. But anyway, we're bringing him right back on. I mean, we definitely covered a timeline that kind of spanned, probably right around the time you and he got together and started jamming together, where he was recording at NMC, and that was a big part of it, the recording. It wasn't just playing the music. It was, we are recording this, and we're going to be listening to it all day after we're done.
There's archives in Seamus's collection as well as my collection, and
I have a collection, everyone.
Yeah, Jeremy's collection.
Yes.
I just saw Jason, one of the Fattel members, this morning, and I said, make sure you give a shout out to everybody, because I just love their family so much.
The whole Fattel family, Jason, Jeremy, Jeff, Joey,
Barb and Joe.
Yeah,
just wonderful people. And then so they hosted us when we were in our learning phase of rocking out as teenagers.
Yeah, they were putting up with this.
And now
I don't know how else to say it.
True fact. Once in a while, say every other or once a month on a Sunday, I get together with these guys I've been playing with for quite some time now. So to bring it up to today, we're going to get together around 5:30, 6 o'clock after the podcast, and once I get out of the Caskie Lodge here, and I'm going to have an opportunity to rock out tonight.
Very nice. Is that the Gus and his dad?
Yeah.
Gus Bellinger, who I've mentioned before. Gus jams with we all kind of mix and match, and we've done stuff with Gus where Darren and I have jammed with him. And then Aaron jams with Gus and his dad, and a really cool guy, Dwight. They're just amazing. I mean, you guys sound great when you get together, for sure.
Well, thanks, Rolls. And I guess the only reason I even bring that to light is what I'm trying to say is music is in my blood.
You can't stop. I mean, in some way, shape, or form, you have to be doing it. I can't explain. I mean, whether you're good at it or not, if you love. No, I'm not saying I'm just saying Well, I just say no. There's a lot of people.
When keeping it real.
No, I'm
goes
talking
right.
to the people now. There's guys out there and girls that are saying, you know, hey, I know I'm not that good, you know, but I just love it. I just can't stop playing, you know, because I think
Right.
everyone has that self-doubt. If you're a musician and you're going, oh, I'm just the best, well, then you're just a douche.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you know. There's always self-doubt. Like, man, I've gotten to this level, but man, I'm not as good as that.
You're absolutely
person or
right.
whatever.
Yeah, if you're going to enjoy the wonderful gifts of playing music in any instrument, don't have any question. Just enjoy yourself and
Right.
learn through practice, trial and error. We started recording with tape cassettes, and that's how I learned in a very
And
unorthodox
you guys,
manner.
who did that before you? That's what I want to know.
I guess what it was.
You
is
came up with it.
We knew of
You and Seamus.
all of our heroes that were rocking and rolling, and basically all the commercial artists that we grew up listening to. Primarily like the bands that came out of like the late 60s and early 70s, and then actually, you know, you learn to find that those guys were taking music from people in the 40s and 50s, and so suddenly you realize you playing a song from 1920.
Charleston. Oh,
And
yeah.
so we could branch off, but
Now, the tape stuff was really cool because, like I said, I never saw anyone before you guys doing that. And so I did the same thing. I went and bought a tape recorder. And so sometimes we'd play at parties a lot, I remember. And we can talk about that. But, you know, there'd be like 3 or 4 tape recorders. Every person in the band had a tape recorder.
I did not learn from anybody, and so I mean it's evident.
Yeah.
In the corner right over, I'm looking towards one of these pictures that I had in my shop, and I still have that same dual cassette player, and that dual cassette player made it so that I could do a recording, and it had live recording where if you had a microphone, and then one of them had an onboard microphone. Anyway, so
There was
yeah.
high-speed dubbing, which was amazing.
Yeah,
And I remember
changed
there were
our
tricks
world.
he used. Can you talk about that? This wasn't just, okay, we're going to record and play. It would be record it, and then maybe there'd be a part where you'd slow it down, and then you'd speed it up, and there were different... Now, wasn't that just as simple as putting your finger on the reel itself? Like, you would take the cover off the boombox so you could actually touch the tape wheel as it spins, and
The tricks were extravagant. I learned how to splice those dual cassette or the cassette tapes at an early age, and it was because my favorite tapes, I'd listen to them 100 times over, and then they would break because they get so
yeah, they
thin.
get wore out, and you learned how to be a tape mechanic. I remember always, I could transfer the tape from one tape that got smashed into a new cassette. Like I even if it
Yeah.
was just a glued together one, you could do it. You know.
Yeah. So, I don't even know. Maybe like 10 or 11-year-old Aaron was opening up those cassette tapes and getting like the clear tape and cutting it
Yeah,
right to the exact
absolutely,
size
it
and
worked.
splicing both sides and making sure it was smooth enough to go through the reel. and
Right, because it would peel
bending.
off after a while. I totally remember doing stuff like that.
So,
But you could not lose that material, you know. I
and
mean,
then when I listen to some of those tapes now, I have a hard time. I want to eventually get everything, as I believe Seamus mentioned in his episode, that eventually we're gonna get to the point where we're old men. We can't do anything else except edit this stuff.
yeah,
And,
he said he's digitizing his vast collection, right? He's trying to.
And I admire that. That's what I would love to do. In fact, some of the old Victrola records that I have of my neighbor's recording, he did recordings with Les Paul and played music.
Yeah, what was his name?
Bud Lauterhahn, and
He was a cool guy.
he was beyond cool. He did stand-up bass and played stand-up bass from the late 20s onward, and he had all sorts of stories. And one of his stories, I was like, wait a second, because I just threw out the name Les Paul real quickly there, but like it was because Bud's telling me these stories, and he's like, at that time the recording studio was a furniture factory.
Yeah.
And he's like, in the furniture factory, I remember Les and I were walking down Michigan Drive or whatever, right in downtown Chicago, or maybe Chicago, one of the avenues downtown.
Yeah.
And he's like, we had just had breakfast and we were going to record such and such album. Bud's band was named like the Blue Devil Dixie Demon.
Yeah, because you have some of his albums for Victrola. They're really cool, and there's a lot of foxtrots. I noticed back in those times, the foxtrot was the thing to do. The foxtrot blues, the foxtrot whatever.
I feel humbled by the fact that I probably have almost every single recording that Bud was involved in.
That's amazing.
So I really feel obligated to do something with those types of albums that I'm possessed.
Yeah, and we can put the timeline on it as we're mid 40s now. When we were teenagers, he was like 80.
I have a
right?
I have a small box. Yeah, exactly. Well, he went to school with Gerald Ford. He played the same position as Gerald Ford in Grand Rapids. And so he was back up on the exact same football team. So when Gerald Ford was sitting on the bench, Bud Lauderhahn was out there in the field for whatever high school. It was Easttown now, or whatever, right there in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
One of those schools are. But anyway,
Okay.
the whole town now is dedicated to Gerald Ford, basically. Regardless,
Oh, wow.
Bud would show me these pictures of him and Gerald and shaking hands with him and his wife. Not just shaking hands, but dancing and out at these junctures. And anyhow, his stories were phenomenal. So he's talking about.
I mean, he was a traveling musician
He was a traveling musician. I have some
in the
of his,
20s and 30s.
his what I call suitcases, but they're basically traveling cases where, you know, some of them open up into a wardrobe, and then the other ones are stickered with all the different hotels that he stayed at during those times.
Wow.
Phenomenal individual.
And these weren't guys that were getting paid a lot either.
No, in fact, some of my last recollection of him playing publicly was at the Park Place in Traverse City, and there's a couple recordings I have called the Park Place Trio.
Do you remember how old you were?
I was in grade school when he was
Wow.
still playing, and then a couple years later, I was like, "Bud, I haven't heard of you playing out anymore," and he's like, "Well, every time I play bass anymore, my fingers bleed."
His blood's too thinned out from all the anti-clot medication.
Well, playing stand-up bass is hard, man. You got
Absolute, as tough as anything.
You have to put, and he played stand-up bass until he was like 80 something. So,
It probably killed him when he just couldn't do it anymore.
yeah. Well, you know what? They also tended to 3 gardens. They had 2 gardens in the front.
That's right.
And they had 1 garden in the back, and it's the exact same lot that my parents actually reside on right now.
Yep. Your mom and dad.
And
moved
then Bud's dad built my old house that's right next door. So the farm that my parents are on right now was the old Lauderhahn estate farm. There's stories back in the day where him and Bud Lauderhahn and his sister were in the back field and they caught the whole field on fire, and a couple other stories.
Oh yeah, the tragic fire of 06.
I'm sure, yeah, like 1806. At that time, I guess there was a high school right on the other side of the highway in Williamsburg there. So anyway, yeah, we just covered some ground, and it's the music. Music is an international language,
and it's right here in Williamsburg, Michigan. You know, right up the road here. You know, in the Berg, because Caskey is 15 minutes from Williamsburg, and then it's like another 10 minutes in the Acme, and then another 5 minutes. You're in Travers. It's all kind of like starting to link together a little bit, but
absolutely,
this is a growing area for sure.
The Caskey Lodge is particularly quiet. You know, I guess the day of, are we? What day is today?
We're doing this Sunday. Yeah, we're here on a Sunday afternoon, man. I mean, it's a typical atmosphere in here. I mean, I have a feeling it's going to shut down soon. They're not really recruiting new people in. I mean, I kind of am a member, but not, you know, I'm more or less living here and working here, so that's my thing. But I mean, I like everyone here. You know, they're probably kind of like a Bud, you know, type people. I don't have all their stories, but I'm sure they have them to tell.
I just wanted to check. I wasn't sure if it was the day of the Sabbath or if you were going to say that it was Saturday.
No, I don't
know
observe that.
A lot of your followers.
Hey, we're living life here. Life doesn't stop on Sunday. You know what I mean? You got to live. You got to get out there and you got to get out there to that loft, to the Caskey Lodge, and really live.
And it's true. So here's
this darkened freaking lodge.
On top of all those things that you mentioned, I have like a real like strong personal faith, I want to say.
Yeah.
So Sunday is the day of the Sabbath. It's the day of rest and such. And so like I'm 100% about that. Now the Gemini in me being
Uh-oh, the
duality.
duality's coming
Yeah,
out.
so the duality comes
Jekyll
out.
and Hyde.
And then so the duality in me is, well, you know what Sunday is that's your opportunity to work one more day than everyone else does.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You can cheat the working
It's
code.
not just the Gemini. It's the starving artist. It's the father of six. It's
I mean, I've like I say, since I was probably 14, I've known you. You've done nothing but work. I mean, you have taken time out to have a good time, but most of the time you were just working harder than anyone else just because you had to. I mean, it wasn't like that you didn't want to. But you definitely had to. You had to pay these bills.
well, the rest of the design group, they're surfing right now.
Well, no, we haven't even talked about that. So you're in construction. We talked about that a little bit. But what was the name of this business you had? What is it still the name, or what's the name now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because the DBAs, it's easy just to keep them as is, and so, just because I have the opportunity to share, I'll share real quickly. And
yeah.
So, I personally have probably pulled maybe like 12, 15 different DBAs in the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, because you're into making energy through magnetism stuff, and we'll talk about that too. But let's focus on the construction.
So with Williamsburg Construction and Design Group.
Now, that is the part that has gotten me through the years.
Yes.
I don't know. I've never met any of these people.
Well, and I think
who is the design group?
That's a wonderful,
And I'm not trying to throw you under the bus either, because you do work with a lot of. I mean, you're talking about it as like other contractors and stuff you work with, and there's a group of people that you network with to get these jobs done. It's not like people in an office. On a CAD program.
That's the funny part of it, and that's why we can sit here and laugh, and there's nothing personal by any means. And you're absolutely correct. Like, it's amazing what you can do if you don't get a lot of sleep and you work all the time.
I thought it was a cool name, but I mean, I was like, I wouldn't mind meeting some of these people every now.
But the reality is,
how many of them?
It's legitimate, yeah. So
it is. It meant partnerships with other contractors.
Starting. Well, way back, like I was self-employed out of high school, and so at first it was Williamsburg Painting, and then then Williamsburg Painting turned to Williamsburg Construction, and I went right for and Design Group.
Nice.
And then so in 2005, for example, I started commuting back and forth between here and Miami, and so for those 4 years, I was 3 weeks Miami, Florida, and then 1 week Michigan.
And you were making killer money down in Miami.
Well, you know what? You say killer money. Well, yes, and you're
paying some big bills.
Well, what I was doing was I was making money because this was 2005 was pre the crash.
That's right.
When you have 6 kids, you can sense that something's going foul in the economy because things start to go south, and so. Particularly in the area of the Caskey Lodge in Williamsburg, I realized, I got to shift things up because this $25 an hour thing isn't happening.
Right.
And
right.
It wasn't paying the bills, and we were still short every month, and yada yada. So,
and the kids have always been your number one priority. I know that. I mean,
so proud.
You're
father.
a good dad. Father's Day is coming up here in a week.
It was the hardest thing I ever did, and it was the most intelligent thing I ever did was pull out of that driveway, and it was because it was all like to secure future.
Yeah.
And so it was challenging, but for those 4 years, I literally did 3 weeks, 1 week, 3 week, 1 week, 3 week, 1 week, and it got redundant. But at that time, I acquired a cabinet business, Kerr Cabinets, Kerr. I started Salvage Skates, SK8, the number 8.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then I was doing Williamsburg Construction and Design Group the entire time. The one I was really excited about that I always love talking about, and it just makes me talk about nothing else, is Silver Lining Energies. So that was Silver Lining Energies. I acquired the name of all these different entities as well as the DBAs and such, and a lot of that was research, test, and development.
And that was in Miami?
And that was also in Miami, where I had a warehouse similar to the one that I have down the road here from the Caskey Lodge, where it was a workspace. Because I had acquired the cabinet business, I had all the tools to do the construction, in addition to the cabinetry.
Nice. So you were ready to go.
Yeah, it was a real blessing. I was busy, not only 24/7, but like 365 for those 4 years nonstop.
And was that an area that was, they get hurricanes? Is that something where your business is destroyed in a blink of an eye kind of thing, or?
Well, at moments there was maybe a dozen different hurricanes during the time period that I was there. I got a chance to surf a lot.
A dozen?
At least.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
I mean, it happened. They happen 3-4 times a year, right?
Wilma, exactly. Yeah, so Wilma was the most extreme, where Wilma came through as a Class 3 hurricane and was sprouting up tornadoes on both sides. My mom and I were in the same apartment at that time, right on the beach, Miami Beach, South Beach, and so we're in between Collins and Ocean, I want to say.
Okay, just out on a strip of land.
A small... we called it the compound because it was one of the older complexes on Miami Beach, so it was historical.
It had weathered some storms.
It had weathered some storms. The building behind us, the roof collapsed that day. We could hear like what sounded like freight trains, but it was actually the tornadoes that were sprouting up. They sound like a freight train coming through. When
so not only is there hurricanes, there's tornadoes.
Yeah, so I went to the surf that morning and I saw the largest waves I'd ever seen in my life. And people were getting my attention from the balcony because I had my surfboard in tow and they thought I was going to get right in the water. There's no way, and Lord's right, that I could have gotten in the water that early.
So you got into surfing as well?
Yeah, around 10 o'clock that morning.
Not during the hurricane, though.
No. Well, I did surf the Class 1 and Class 2 hurricanes. There was like Rita and a couple other hurricanes that year that I surfed where it was like time of my life,
Wow.
Just loving it.
What size waves you think?
Wilma was the largest set, where those 30-foot sets.
Whoa!
That's how it started. Those 30-foot sets turned into like 15 and 10 regular.
Okay.
So we had 15-foot sets coming in the rest of the day, and then the next day it was amazing, like say 4 and 6 foot sets. And
this is during the hurricane.
This was right after the hurricane.
Okay, all right.
This was after the eye passed.
Okay.
And then so the 30-foot sets were when I did not get in the water, and an Australian lost his life that morning.
Oh my
further
gosh.
upshore. But around 10 o'clock, we started all getting in the water, and by like 11 or noon or that day, maybe I got my time frame wrong, but because I'm a novice surfer by all means, but I love the surfing thing. And
yeah, you've done some Great Lakes surfing.
The entire coastline was very full of people.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, so so, so you went to Florida and you came back and you started looking at the potential of a new way to generate power. You've been working with magnetism, and when I talk about working with magnetism, this is insane stuff. These magnets are kind of dangerous, right? I mean, you don't want to get your hand pinched between them or anything. I've had skin ripped right off. But you were trying to come up with what, like a perpetual. We're coming up on the hour, if you can believe that.
Yeah,
I can't even believe it.
So I'll make it quick.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about that, because it's a cool idea, and I've seen some of your designs, and they.
Hey, Ricky, don't ever work with these magnets that he's talking about, all right?
Ricky did actually bring us another round of beers, here for the cooler. That we empty the cooler pretty quick, and then we need a refill. So Ricky came and gave us a refill here, but we haven't seen him since, so we don't know what's going on.
All right, so this is a synapsis, and then so I was working with magnets for a long time, and first of all, I'd like to apologize for your injury, Ray, because that
was my own fault. You warned me.
These magnets are strong.
I was like, no, I can do this.
I learned like how strong some of these magnets were because I was all excited. I got these new magnets in the mail. I walked past the kids in the living room and took them upstairs to at that time the office. Anyhow, by the time I'm upstairs, the kids are telling me, "Dad, the TV's all messed up."
Yeah, because for the kids out there, tube televisions, you didn't bring a magnet near them. It would mess them up.
I just walked by, whatever, a few feet, probably 6 feet, whatever. And so the next morning I started testing these magnets, and they had a 12-foot or 14-foot diameter magnetic pool, let's
like
say.
a field, yeah, the magnetic field.
Magnetic field, exactly. So some of these magnets are really crazy. I would like to go ahead and wrap it up. I'll summarize because we only have a little bit of time left.
Oh, we got about 7 more minutes.
I like to share.
We got 7. We got 7.
This is something that I like to share, and I guess basically what I'd like to say is, you have to be careful on how you word. Like, people are like, well, what are you working on? I start telling them, and they're like, well, that's impossible, right? And I'm like, well, okay, in your opinion, and so what I've been going on is this interaction behavior of magnetism, and basically you have a positive and a negative polarity of whether it's a body of a planet or a magnet.
Right.
You have a north and south pole. I think north and south pole almost sounds better than positive and negative.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just the connotation, it's better. So let's say north and south. A little hint
of Santa.
So every morning and for all of our existence, the sun comes up. To me, even though there's mild variations throughout the seasons and years and our following of how it shifts in 13 or 1400 year cycles of elliptical scenarios, regardless of all that, that in my opinion is a form of perpetual motion. It's a form of overunity. In other words, it's a system, a celestial system that's all set up by itself, not by itself, but let's say whatever your beliefs are, I'm going to leave that outside of this conversation.
Right, yeah, it has nothing to do with it.
But from my observation, the sun comes up every morning.
Yeah.
And it goes down, and there's this rhythm that we can count on. Well, that, I've said it already, I'm going to say it again, TrevorCityHemp.com.
Hey, all right. TrevorCityHemp.com.
Whoa. Back into the fair that the sun rises every morning. You can go ahead. So that's basically where I started to learn some of this machinery that I was getting into. I learned terms called epicyclic and heliocentric, and at one time the physics and the engineer.
Okay, I think we're back.
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything moving by chance. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're back in action there.
So real quick,
we were literally gone for 5 seconds.
So heliocentric and geocentric are the terms before, back in the day, the minds of our time thought that the Earth was the center of all existence. And so that was a geocentric system where they thought that everything evolved around the Earth. Not true. Come to find out, people are saying Ptolemy, Copernicus, a number of individuals throughout history, 1500 year gaps, said, no, it's heliocentric. We're all going around the sun. So we're
blasphemy.
We're in a heliocentric system, and then as far as there's epicyclic gearing that occurs, and not occurs. That's basically a description of our solar system.
Yeah, yeah.
And so in epicyclic gearing, you have an annulus, which is like a ring around, and then you have your planetary gears.
Okay.
And your planetary gears go around the perimeter, and then you have a solar gear that's in the middle. And then so in an epicyclic gearing system, they do this in transmissions, and they do this type of application in some machinery, micro machinery, etc. That's where you have the design and these terms that I started coming across in a back-asswards way. Pardon my language for lack of a better terminology.
Anything goes on this fucking show.
Yeah. So yeah, I know we're running short on time. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about some of my favorite things, Ray. Thank you for hosting.
Well, and I will just say, I mean, to sum up the thing, it's a perpetual motion machine designed to generate power, and he's working on them. He's got a variety of designs, and they're all really cool. I've seen them. I mean, the descriptions he's giving, folks. I mean, this is. Some of it's above my pay grade. I'm super interested in it, but I may just not be, well, you've looked into it. I mean, you're right here. You've looked into it. I mean,
can I summarize just one last thing?
Sure.
This is how it would benefit everybody, is the fact that we're paying so much for energy in our lives, whether it's for the heat or the air conditioning or the fuel in our vehicles or the electricity in our homes. If the system was set up and you had these smaller machines that were
even if you had to wind them up like
Se-
a clock every
self-
now and then, but they ran for a
self-efficient.
week, you know, they,
Yeah, so I guess basically that's my intentions, that's my hope, and that would be the thing that I could be most excited about.
yeah,
is
absolutely.
something that would enable people to not have to be burdened so much by the oil and gas industry. And, you know, it makes me so excited to see people trending this direction. And of course, I have nothing to do with all their trending because, like, there's so many active groups that are doing the best to do what they can.
Yeah.
There's these companies that are just phenomenal.
People on YouTube.
The batteries are getting better, the generators are getting better, and it's happening organically. A lot of the designs that I had to work with, some of them parts touch, some of them don't, but it's all basically attraction repulsion. So I'm attracting, and then suddenly it gets close and it's repulsion.
Very cool.
Well, it's not very cool when you're a Gemini and you practice those things in
Uh-oh,
your
the
life.
duality's
No.
coming back, folks.
No, that's a horrible ethic to like take on if you're a human. Now, if you're a magnet, awesome thing to harness.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know, we are coming up on, you know, I try and keep these, you know, to an hour, and I got like a 6-minute buffer zone that I put in, but, you know, I figure, you know, we'll have Aaron back and we'll talk some more in depth about this kind of stuff. And actually, we could probably bring some more people in that, you know about it as well. But next week, I want everyone to tune in to the Father's Day episode. Now, Aaron has been invited. We're going to do this Saturday, which he does the farm market, and I don't know, but we're going to definitely be doing an interview with my dad, Roger, who has been on the show already. He's quite the character. We'll probably get a little more harmonica out of him. And I've invited a couple other dads. I myself am not a dad. I cannot speak to being a dad. I can speak to knowing these kids and being just proud to know them. But that, you know, that's, you know, and loving and caring about them. But, you know, I'm not their dad. You know, I'm out of there. As soon as the diaper's dirty, I'm out, you know. So anyway, we're doing that. And tune in. And other than that, thanks a lot, Aaron. Appreciate you coming in. I really like talking to you and Jill, and really any of the family want to come in, I would talk to them too. So
Hey, Rolls, thank you so much. We really appreciate and we admire what you're doing here, and I just encourage you to continue to do what you're doing, and just we dig it so hard, bro. Keep it up.
hey, thank you very much, and thanks to all my other listeners and subscribers. I really appreciate you listening and your comments. I love reading them. You know, so if you're bored and you feel like it, good or bad, I don't care. I just like reading them. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.